you're going to lay down in the dirt. You're going to sit at the end of this bench and like put your arm over your head. You're going to take a, just pour your Sawyer squeeze on your face, and people are like, what the fuck are you doing? Okay, great. My name's Tommy Corey. I'm a photographer, and I just completed the PCT last year. It was actually my second attempt. I went in 2017 and did about 900 miles and thought I fucking hated it. And then got off the trail after 2 months and realized I really wanted to do a full through hike. So came back this year and did Mexico to Canada. And then I did this photo project on the trail called Hiker Trash Vogue, where I essentially made long distance hikers pretend like they were high fashion models. And it was kind of started as a joke and then just kind of exploded as I was on trail, which kind of sucked because I was like, fuck, now I have to finish because of all these people watching me.
So were the subjects for your fashion photos just the hikers who were on trail with you that year, or did you reach out to other finishers, or what's the scope of your project? How about that?
So the project we're all 2018 through hikers.
Okay.
So all the photos were taken while I was on trail for those 6 months.
Okay. So this is like your trail family and like your bubble, or just
obviously you could tell the people I hiked with because you see a lot of them in my work, but
okay.
I tried to photograph as many people as I could. So there's a lot of different people. I only people I met like one time in my project, which is pretty cool too.
So you said a couple of things during your intro that made my ears perk up, and one of them was that on your first attempt you thought maybe that hiking sucked. Did I hear that correctly? Like you thought the experience.
I fucking hated it.
Yeah, what was what happened the first time that wasn't so hot?
It was a lot harder for me my first time. I was really slow. I mean, like for me, my first time a 20-mile day seemed huge. I didn't really do too many 20-mile days. And if I did, I was dying, and it took me all day. And I don't know. I guess it was just a lot harder. I remember my feet. I feel like maybe I got injured and didn't know it, and I just thought, oh, I'm supposed to, like, my feet are supposed to hurt this bad. But I came back in 2018, last year, and I mean, my first day I did the 20 miles to Lake Morena, and I was completely fine. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe it's just a fluke. We'll see how tomorrow goes. So the next day I was like, okay, I'll just do like 15 today so I don't push it because I really want to finish this year. And I got 15 miles done before like 12 o'clock. So I was like, well, shit, I guess I can just like go to, Mount Laguna. So I made it there, and I was like, this is strange. So I just kept doing 20s, and then,
okay.
Yeah.
So on that first attempt, what do you think? Maybe you hadn't prepared and tried to do too much out of the gate, or?
I really don't know, because I mean, I was taking it slow when I started my first year. I was just doing like 15 here, 18 sometimes would be a big day, and then I'd do like 12 or 13. Like I was taking it really, really slow, like all through the desert.
Okay.
And then we got to Kennedy Meadows, and I was like, I'm not going, and it was a high snow year, so I was like, I'm not fucking with that. So I skipped up to NorCal. And then, I don't know, I think skipping maybe had been part of it too, like skipping ahead. I don't know, it just felt I didn't like the idea of hiking to Canada and then having to come back and like do the Sierra section. So I'm really happy I waited and was able to do a full, like true northbound hike this year, this last year.
Okay. So what kind of prep had you done, or other long hikes before your first try at the PCT?
I went on one 50-mile loop around the Three Sisters in Oregon, and thought I was going to die. and that was the only prep I did.
Okay, so I'm noticing a theme here is that you put yourself in over your head, you find yourself miserable, and then you come back and do it again anyway. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Does that pattern apply to any other aspects of your life? Like the first time you tried photography, were you just terrible at it?
Oh no, I picked up a camera when I was 12, and I feel like it was something I was meant to do.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I really can't think of. I don't know. I've always been someone that fails at things. I'm like, well, I wasn't good at that. I'll just try something else.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. There's just something about. I mean, I grew up in Northern California in Redding, actually, where I'm hanging out right now at my folks' house. So I grew up close to Mount Shasta, which is the trail goes through.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up camping and hiking and stuff, but backpacking was foreign to me.
I gotcha.
But I love being outside so much. I love camping. I love how camping with other people, connects you to them. And so I think that's what I initially enjoyed about backpacking and why I wanted to keep taking a stab at it. Also, my older brother did the PCT in 2011, and I don't know. I just wanted to say I completed it too.
Okay. Did you have any side goals like doing it faster than your brother, or any competition there?
I don't think I would ever really care about doing it like breaking any records or doing it even faster than how I did it this time. I like to enjoy myself. I think something like from this year, I like to get the miles done to the next town so I can hang out in town. So it makes the next stretch enjoyable.
Okay. I could definitely relate to that hiking style. One of my favorite things is finding a good sitting spot. I'm not all about 30-mile days.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm out there to enjoy myself. So, that first camera when you were 12, was it a gift or was that your idea?
Yeah, my dad had given me his Olympus that he used when he was a kid, and when my parents realized like how serious I was about it, they bought me a camera, like a nice 35 millimeter Canon for Christmas. And so I really haven't stopped shooting since then. That's what I've always done.
Do you shoot on film?
Yeah, I shot film until I was probably about 19. So yeah, for like 6 or 7 years, I shot film. So, and I never took any classes until I was an adult and did like a stint of college. But yeah, I'm a self-taught photographer.
Okay. Ever get involved with the the dark room side or post-processing, develop your own film?
Yeah, I've done a lot of dark room stuff. I don't like it though. It's tedious and I'd rather just have someone else do it for me.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel that way about editing the podcast sometimes. I like making it. I want to spend 6 hours listening to myself screw things up and go like this.
I'm not fond of the darkroom stuff. It was never super fun to me.
Okay. Yeah.
I've got a question. Sorry. I'm finally here now. So in terms of editing, did you edit a lot of your photos on trail, or did you kind of just wait until you were finished to edit them? And how did you go about that process?
I edited every single photo while I was on trail. So everything was done on my phone. I used to use a couple of apps. I think everyone's asked me what is this crazy filters you're using on your picture? And it's just like take a good photo first, and then you don't have much work to do afterward. I also hate editing photos, so I don't know. I have a good portrait lens. I know lighting. I know posing, and those are the two pertinent steps to a good portrait. So if you get that over, you don't have to edit that much. So I just did light edits on my phone as I was hiking. While people are in their tent at the end of the night writing their journal, I was editing pictures.
What apps were you using to edit the photos?
I have Lightroom and Visco, which is another one. And then there's a Japanese app I discovered called Kala Calla. I think that's how you pronounce it. And so I use those three just depending on the photo and depending on the kind of tones I wanted to get. Obviously, there's a lot of color in my photo, and certain apps are better for different colors, I find, or different color palettes.
Did you find any, like, was there any particular like subject matter that you like to shoot more than others, like particular scene setups or anything like that?
What do you mean? Like, do I like to shoot portraits better than landscapes, or are you?
More or less, like, yeah, like, so I've seen a bunch of your work, and like, you have kind of some portrait shots, and then you've got group shots. Did you find that you liked shooting groups of people more than just individuals?
Oh, yeah. I every time I was somewhere like at a hiker stop or camp or a town, and there was a lot of hikers, I loved taking the group shots. I it's fun to see, or it's fun to like pose people, and I kind of like that Renaissance looking kind of portraiture. Like if you see it in a lot of I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of Dolce and Gabbana ads, but they tend to have a lot of people in their advertisement, and they're all doing kind of different things, and I really love that about the Dolce and Gabbana ads. Also, like Vanity Fair, a couple times a year we'll have their cover, and it pulls out, and it'll be like 20 different actors, and they're all posed together. I've always really loved that. So yeah, it's fun to see how people photograph. So that's why photographing individuals, by themselves, can be really fun, because then I feel it gives you this really interesting insight to who they are. But I also love seeing how people photograph together, and I think it just makes the photo more interesting.
How did you approach the people to photograph them? Like, I'm sure, it snowballed eventually, but like in the beginning, was it just like, hey, can I take your picture? Sure. And then, how did that process work out?
Yeah, I mean, it started with, so I started the project in Wrightwood, which, if anyone doesn't know anything about the PCT, it's at mile 369. So still in the Southern California desert. So we were taking a day off in a town, or in Wrightwood, and we had an Airbnb, and there was like 10 of us. And I just said, hey, everyone, grab a piece of gear. Let's pretend like everyone's going to act like they're models, and we're going to have like a hiker photo shoot. So from there, I posted that in my Instagram. From that one post, just kind of blew up, because all these companies started posting it, and everyone, like, all these random people started following me and saying like, this is so cool, when really I just thought I was being like kind of facetious. So I was like, well, fuck, this is kind of a cool project. Like, this will keep me motivated to keep going and hopefully finish. So every time I'd get to a new town or stop where there's a bunch of hikers, I would approach someone I thought was interesting, or if there was a group of hikers, I said, hey, can I take a photo of your group? And, people would, immediately be like, oh yeah, let's all put our arms around each other and smile. And I said, no, actually, you're going to lay down in the dirt. You're going to sit at the end of this bench and like put your arm over your head. You're going to take pour your Sawyer squeeze on your face, and people are like, what the fuck are you doing? But which is always really comical, because I've been taking photos of people so long that it almost became this game of like, how fucking weird can I make this photo, and like how far will people go just to get their picture taken by me towards the end? Because seriously, some people would come up to me like, oh my god, you're Twerk, like if you're doing any photos, like I'll totally be in, I'll do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, like sweet. But,
okay, so that brings up kind of naturally leads into the next question, is like, what's the most bizarre arrangement that you've put humans in for a photo?
On the trail?
Or otherwise.
I mean, I've done a lot of nude photography. I think what's different about my work, though, is like my work's so playful that even my nude photographs are not like, I don't think they're not like sexual. It's just art.
There's a fantastic picture in the chat right now, by the way, of a hiker who is wearing nothing but a pine cone.
Oh, that's me.
Oh, that's you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's great.
All right. Well, now I can put a face and more to the name.
There you go. Give me an email. I'll send you. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
So, I think so. I want to say maybe like people being naked is maybe the weirdest thing, but I don't think that's very weird. I think it's really cool and interesting. I think probably one of the weirdest shoots though that people were looking at me like, what the fuck has gotten into you, Twerk, is when I made everyone do like, so as a kid, I was obsessed with, do you remember the Got Milk advertisements?
Yes.
I was obsessed with those. Every magazine I had, I collected them and hung them on my wall. I loved them. So when I was on trail, I was like, there's me again. Yeah. Thanks, Bunny. When it was from when I started Hiker Trash Vogue, I was like, I have to do a Got Milk advertisement somewhere on trail, but I just kept forgetting. We got to Syad Valley, which is the last town before you hit the Oregon border. And I was like, holy shit, I got to do my Got Milk advertisement. Cause I got here early. We're taking the day off. So I went and bought heavy whipping cream and that little jug of milk and had all these hikers put milk mustaches on themselves. And some, my friends were obviously like, yeah, Twerk will do whatever the fuck you want. But then there was all these hikers I had never met before that were like, who is this kid? And why are we putting milk on her? I was like, just shut up and do it. And I'll send you the photo. There was a couple of people that actually refused. I think that was the first time on the trail where someone was like, no, I'm not doing that. I was like, okay, well, you're boring. We're not going to be friends.
It's kind of amazing what people will do just because there's a camera pointed at them.
Yeah. And I think the nice thing about it too, I think what made me really happy being on trail and having people know my work is that they trusted me. It seems funny and I'm going to joke with you and we're going to laugh, but at the end of the day, the photo is going to come out good. I'm going to make you feel good about yourself. That's always been my goal since I picked up a camera. And that's why I love portraiture, because I don't think there's a better feeling than when someone says, hey, you made me feel really beautiful, or that was really fun, or I really like making people feel confident. So even if if I seem like I'm being an asshole, it comes from a very genuine place.
So I don't know if I came in a little bit late to this, but what kind of camera did you use?
I carried a Canon 7D DSLR. My whole camera setup was about 5 pounds.
Okay.
So definitely, I'm not an ultralight dude.
I feel you there, man. I was carrying a Canon 5D Mark III, and people were like, "What are you doing?"
Oh yeah, I pull out that sucker, and people are like, "What the fuck?"
For sure, man.
Worth it.
Definitely.
How old are you?
How old am I?
Yes.
Guess.
See, that's why I asked, is because I don't have a guess. Because
I'm 30.
Okay. All right. Yeah. See,
I was hoping you'd say 25 or 24.
Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking that you're mid, maybe late 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, I think most people think that because I'm short.
Well, my reason for asking was because I've, like Reptar, I've seen your work, and it looks like you've had a lot of time to develop your talent and develop a style. So I was curious if you had any professional photography experience prior to your hike, or if this was always just a hobby.
No, I mean, like I said, I've been shooting since I was 12. I shot weddings. I mean, I still shoot weddings on the side. Obviously I'm focusing on more of the outdoor hiker thing now. But I went to college for a tiny bit. I never graduated. I've going to art school is, I think, bullshit. So if you're already good at what you do, I wouldn't spend the money, just in case anyone's young and listening. But yeah, I did it. I've done a lot of creative projects. I did this kind of humanitarian project when I was 23 that also kind of got a lot of attention. It was called the Self-Worth Project, and it was basically it was kind of like stories. It all revolved around people and their insecurities, and just kind of showed how we're through our differences, how we're all the same and whatnot. It's kind of like when all all those kids were committing suicide. And I don't remember if you remember all that, but it started with that kid. I can't remember his name. I think it was like Tyler or something, but he was an 18-year-old kid who jumped off a bridge on the East Coast, college kid, because he had been, I guess his roommate had secretly videotaped him having sex with another guy and posted online for all the college students to see.
Oh, Jesus, what an asshole.
So he committed suicide. But there was like this string of like gay teen suicides for like 2 weeks. So there was like 7 or 8 of them. And that's when kind of the whole bullying thing got brought to light. And that's what kind of inspired me to do that project. Was I was made fun of a lot as a kid, being gay and like obviously like very effeminate when I was younger. I got made fun of a lot. So that just kind of hit close to home for me, and it kind of sparked this idea for that project.
So how did you come across the people for that project to shoot?
I started with with just like my close friends. I just said, hey, I have this idea for this project. I guess kind of like how Hiker Trash Vogue started. Like I started with the people I knew, and I said, hey, I have this project. I want to do it. Let's just take some photos. So I probably photographed about 15 or 20 of like people I knew, and then I put it online, and it just started taking off. And all of a sudden, people were contacting me, asking me to take photos. I ended up photographing about 200, 250 people for it.
Wow.
I did it. I worked on it for about a year, but I was also 23 when I did that project, and I think it started to kind of wear on me because so many people were contacting me, and I was like, I'm fucking 23. I'm a bartender. Like I can't afford to go travel to you and take your picture, like, you know. So it kind of just dwindled, but it was cool. It was a good stint.
So on that note, talking about money, what were you doing before you set out to hike the PCT? Like, how did you put the money together to do that?
I was shooting weddings and also bartending. So my wedding gigs were never consistent enough for me to just work solely for myself. So I bartended for almost 10 years. And when I was returning to the trail this last year, I told myself, I don't care what I have to do. I'll move into my goddamn parents' house if I have to, but I do not want to go back to being a bartender ever again. So luckily, I haven't had to since the hike. I've been able to do some cool shit and make some money and working for myself. So it's awesome. This is like what I've dreamt of since I was a kid, is to just solely do photography because it's what I love.
So to help you kind of plug that, if anybody wants to check out your stuff or, hire you to, or pay you to fly somewhere and shoot for them, how would they go about doing that?
You could just go to my website. It's tommycorey.com, TOMMYCOREY. My Instagram handle, that's another way people contact me. That's Twerk in the Dirt, just exactly how it's spelled, Twerk with a K.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
What?
Is that your trail name?
Twerk is my trail name, yeah.
There's got to be a story, right?
I mean, it's exactly what you think.
Okay. Well,
what were you twerking to when you got the name?
I don't know, probably like Janet Jackson or something. But no, my first hike in 2017, both years I carried a little Bluetooth speaker, and my first year I would usually like at camp get all the hikers in a circle and we'd stretch together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd always play like Janet Jackson or like Whitney Houston or something, bumping. And then I would, lead stretches and then have other people do stretches. And then this one time I was just thought it'd be funny to like twerk on this tree to a song that was playing. And then I don't know, it just fit my personality really well. And someone before that tried to name me Wind Force because in a day, like I had this brand new Patagonia hat that flew off a ridge. I had my tent flew off as I was trying to set it up in the wind. There's all this shit flying everywhere. So he tried to name me Wind Force. And I was like, that's way too cool of a name for me. I was like, I got to have something really stupid.
Wind force.
Yeah, exactly. Like wind force is I'm this like 5'3" little shit. Like no, twerk is a lot better because it sounds like twerk.
So I have a question about the photographs themselves.
Yeah.
So you refer to yourself as an outdoor fashion photographer, and when I think fashion, I think clothing, like fancy dress, but a lot of your pictures are just like people in their shorts. Or one of my favorite pictures is there's a guy sitting in a bathtub eating what looks like a rack of ribs.
Oh yeah.
A lot of your quote unquote fashion photos don't really have clothes in them. But here's the thing: like you can look at them and they have that kind of, they've got that look about them, like they were pulled from the pages of a fashion magazine. And this might be like a really technical inside baseball kind of question, but I want to know, like, what are the elements of a photo itself that make it fall into that category that people look at it and they go, oh, this is from a fashion magazine? Like, is it the graininess, the focus, the lighting? What makes a photo a fashion photo?
I think it's obscurity, honestly. I kind of put that as my title because I didn't know what else. I'm not solely an outdoor photographer. Okay. I'm not solely a fashion photographer, but I started this kind of outdoor fashion project. And when I think of fashion, when I think of fashion photography, I think of all the stuff I love out of, like Vogue and Vanity Fair and V Magazine, W Magazine. And they're all just like obscure photos of people just doing weird shit with different clothes on. And sometimes no clothes on, look at cologne ads. Usually it's someone naked, but that's still considered fashion because they're selling a product.
Right.
And out on the trail, we're all wearing products, aren't we? So it's I really think it comes down to like the obscurity of the photo, just like it's editorial style portraiture, and I think that it goes in the category of fashion.
So when you go into a shoot, do you have an image in your mind of what you want the final to look like, or are you just kind of moving the model around and finding it as you go?
None of my photos are planned out. That's maybe really, really hard. But when you're doing something like the PCT, you can't. I don't know. For me, it's like I can't plan what I'm going to shoot because there's going to be days where I'm so fucking tired that I don't feel like taking anyone's photo. Like there was definitely days I was like, that would be a cool photo, but I'm going to keep walking because my slow ass needs to get to camp. So a lot of the photos are just in the moment when I was hanging out with people and I just saw something. I said, hey, sit down, do that. Let's take this photo. Or I was walking and I was like, you know what? I got some time. I'm going to wait here because this spot's really beautiful or the lighting's great and I'll wait for the next hiker. And then I'll just have them do something. And I think every photo, the poses are really dependent on the person because everyone photographs differently. And I want to photograph people in ways that they feel confident, in the ways they feel beautiful. So that's why, I can't, none of these photos are really super thought out. I just kind of be like, you do this, you do that, and then I'll maneuver you if it looks weird.
What's the response been like?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I could think that was negative was on the PCT group, which I don't follow because it's fucking stupid and it's just a bunch of people who don't even hike that are trying to make people feel bad about their questions. I
assume you're talking about Facebook or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
the Facebook group. Dude, I want to join it just because it's so comical, but then it pisses me off because I'm like, you're probably sitting on your couch while you write this, you dick. Sorry.
I'm in a chair right now.
No. I'm talking about Facebook. Anyway, so there was a girl. I had several people send me this screenshot of this girl posting because Outside Magazine featured my work maybe a couple months after the trail, and I sent them they were like, "Oh, send us 15 pictures," and I was like, "Well, here's 30 because I can't narrow it down, so you guys just choose your favorites." And they picked, we all know the trail is very Caucasian. And right. I mean, diversity outdoors is a big conversation right now with a lot of outdoor companies and whatnot, which it should be. Um, but this girl basically like accused me of being like biased, like almost calling me like racist because outside it featured so many photos and they were all of like, mostly like Caucasian people,
Mm-hmm.
which I like wasn't even offended. I just thought it was hilarious.
That's like somebody being upset that you went to the zoo and all your pictures have animals in them.
Yeah, exactly. And I almost wanted to like join the group and just say, because it was she seemed to be someone who wasn't white, from this like small profile picture I could see. And I almost wanted to say, well, if you want the trail to be more diverse, how about you get off your ass and you get on the trail then?
Yeah.
Like, stop talking about. I'm so sick of people talking about it, but like not being about it. Like that's the problem. It's like you just get up and just fucking go. Like, post about it, talk about it, like talk about the people you meet.
So, you're exuding a lot of confidence right now, and I'm enjoying this. Which actually brings me to my next question. You mentioned earlier about that being something that you like to pull out of your subjects to make them feel confident and feel beautiful. And I sense that coming from you. And you mentioned earlier that you were bullied as a child. If it's not too personal, I'd like to hear a little bit about your journey from being bullied to being someone who advocates for those bullied. Was there a particular event, or was it just a gradual?
Yeah. No, that's not too personal. Nothing's too personal for me. I will start with saying it feels nice to finally be the adult I wanted to be as a child. I feel like as a kid, I fantasized about being an adult for so long because I just wanted so badly to not be tormented for just being myself. But I wouldn't go back and change any of any of the bullying I experienced because I mean, that's where I get my sense of humor from. That's how I started being kind of a sarcastic asshole myself, is because when you could tell jokes and when you can talk back to people, they're not going to make fun of someone that's sticking up for themselves. They're going to make fun of people they think are weak, which I definitely used to be. But yeah, it feels nice to finally be like a confident adult. I mean, I think it took a long time. I think a lot of that comes from hiking, from being on the PCT, because I feel like when we're through hiking, you're just so stripped down to your core that you can't. It's kind of almost hard to hide who you are when you're out there, because you're so fucking happy, but you're also really fucking sad at times, and you're also frustrated. But then you're also just enamored with everything around you, and there's all these range of emotions you go through and through hiking. And I think experiencing all those emotions condensed into like 6 months really just broke me out of this kind of this shell and maybe even this kind of that turmoil I was holding on to for so long, feeling like, oh, poor me, I was bullied. It's like, well, tough shit. Everyone goes through hard times. It's how we get through it is what really is a testament to who we are. So I don't know if that really answered the question. Sorry.
No, that's great.
To ramble.
That's great. Yeah, I left that open-ended on purpose. I wanted to hear you ramble, and I like what you said.
Okay.
So you've now officially done the PCT. What's the next step? Are you going to go to like the Appalachian Trail and start shooting hikers out there, or the CDT? Are you going to go back to the PCT again, or what's in the deck of cards?
So I'm actually leaving on Saturday to drive down south. I'm hiking from Campo to Wrightwood, starting Monday. So 369 miles. And so I didn't start my project till Wrightwood, like I mentioned. So I'm going to do Hiker Trash Vogue from Campo to Wrightwood just to feel like that part is complete. And then next year I'm planning another PCT through hike. I haven't really thought much about the AT, maybe one day. EDT, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, I want to do the PCT one more time before I think about other trails. Now that I know I can do it, I'm kind of like infatuated and kind of
awesome.
obsessed.
Oh, I get that, man. So, are you going to continue? I mean, aside from this next little jaunt that you do, are you going to continue with the Hiker Trash Vogue project, or are you gonna, make like a Hiker Trash Vogue 2, or like, are you gonna keep the same theme going, or how's that?
I think, yeah, I think so. Through this it's really connected me with a lot of outdoor companies, which is really cool. So I've been doing some fun work with a couple of outdoor companies, and I actually sold advertisements in my book to quite a few outdoor companies, which is really rad. So I'd like to continue. I think my next step is to start a website. I kind of want to start a website. So, the Hiker Trash Vogue is kind of mocking fashion photography in a sense. It's like
right.
It's like fashion photography, but we all smell like shit. So it's kind of mocking that. So I was looking. I do like following fashion websites for inspiration, but a lot of them are just so ridiculous because it's just like all these people with unrealistic bodies. It's like, how much, or like, what are you not eating so that you can look like that? Or how much are you working out to look like that? It's like, no, that's not me. I like photographing real people. But I following their stories and stuff, I think it's V magazine or maybe W magazine. They always post stories every day, and it's like, Justin Bieber did this, or the Kardashians said that, and I was like, who fucking cares about any of those goddamn people? So I'm kind of toying with the idea of starting a maybe mock website like that's revolved around Hiker Trash Vogue, but it's featuring people who are hikers and do outdoorsy things and talking about their experience and their life experience, because I think that's way more fucking interesting than the goddamn Kardashians.
I would have to agree wholeheartedly, my friend.
Sure. So that's what I'm planning on doing next after the book's all said and done. But in the book, I had 17, 17 different hikers write stories about their hikes. And because I just wanted some extra content in there, because I don't know, I just felt like a pompous dick being like, oh, here's my picture book, and this project wouldn't exist without the hikers. So I wanted to make sure people saw and knew, it's not just me, it was a joint effort. And the stories are just like beautiful. Like every single story in this book is just like so beautifully written. And even if they're not like an incredible writer, it's because it's about the trail. There's just like every story, when I read them for the first time, like made me cry.
Can you share one?
It just brought me back.
Yeah. How did that work out? Like, did you shoot a picture of somebody and say like, hey, can you write like a little blurb about yourself, or how'd you go about that?
So every person there was 2 people I had to photograph after the fact. I had only met one of them on trail, but never got a photo of him. And then actually, so the guy with the rack of ribs, that's Airborne. He did the yo-yo this last year. And I thought it would be really interesting to have him. We never met on trail, but I thought it would be really cool to have him write just a little piece. So we actually had a little hiker retreat in Sacramento, which he came to. And so I was able to finally get a photo of him for his article that he wrote. But they're all so different. And but I posted the story yesterday. Kind of the underlying theme is almost everyone talks about shitting their pants in their story, even the ones that are kind of sentimental.
Oh my God.
Oh, well, I can tell you haven't heard the show before, because that is a common subject.
Oh yeah.
You want to just go there now?
They always, well, I mean, we might as well. So on that note, what's your best poop story, or worst?
Okay, so this year, my last hike, I actually did not shit my pants. But I did have an emergency one in Oregon. Almost didn't make it, and finish covering my cat hole and then had to go right after. So that was probably almost like an hour ordeal. And I was hiking with people that were like a little bit slower than me at the time. So when I showed up to camp like 45 minutes after them, they were like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, where were you? I was like, sorry.
I was taking photos.
Yeah, I swear, I was just taking pictures. But no, the one on my first hike, it actually wasn't even on trail. We were in Ridgecrest, and I actually still don't even know if I've told my friend this, but we were in Ridgecrest, me and like 4 other hikers, and I was sharing a bed with my friend Kathleen. And in the middle of the night, I think, so I'm pretty sure I had noro, but I was like totally denying it because I didn't want everyone to kick me out of the room. So it was like 3 a.m. and I woke up and I had shit the bed, but it was like diarrhea. So it was just everywhere.
No.
Yeah. And so like I got up and like was in the shower, like crying because I felt awful and I had just shit the bed. And then I came back and just had to like lay a towel over it.
Oh my God. Wait, is your friend still sleeping in the bed?
Yeah, she's still sleeping in the bed. And then, so luckily, I mean, no one said anything, so I don't think they smelled it. Oh, no. But yeah, so the morning, I think she was like, "Why are you sleeping so close to me?"
Oh man. My cheeks hurt. That is quality, my friend.
Yeah,
that
so
is I like how you just laid a towel on it, like a cat in a litter box. You're like, oh, I'm just gonna cover this up, pretend it didn't happen.
Oh my
God. Those were the best of times.
Oh man, that is quality. So, moving away from the poop subject, is there anybody that you'd like to photograph? Is there anybody that you've seen on trail, any hikers, any person in particular that you're like, I would really like to shoot a photo of that person?
I don't know.
Or a group of people?
I'm trying to think of like, yeah, I mean, just like people that are like well known in the hiking community, or
yeah, like anybody in the hiking community, not in the hiking community.
Yeah, let's open this up to anyone in the world. Celebrity living or dead.
Okay. I don't know. Probably Oprah, because I love her and I want to meet her.
So it's not so much that she's a good photo subject. You just want to hang out with her.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of also
I think you you just might be the person to make her finally feel confident and beautiful.
Really? I think she feels pretty damn good about herself.
I was about to say, if it's not the billions of dollars she has, I mean.
No, I actually love Oprah. I like listen to all her podcasts when I was hiking the trail, and I don't even really listen to podcasts that much. I love Oprah. I'd photograph Oprah. Just I think it'd be interesting to photograph someone with like so much money, but I'd like want to do it in a way that like I photograph people. So I'd be like, hey, you're gonna wear these hiking clothes and like put some dirt on your face.
That would be awesome.
Oh my God! Yes, we need to make this happen.
I was just going to say we need to start like a social media campaign. We need to come up with a hashtag.
Yeah, crowdfund for Twerk to have a photo shoot with Oprah and hiker Trash Vogue.
Oh my God! I don't know if you guys watch. I also love Ellen DeGeneres, but a few years ago, because Oprah has her magazine, and she's literally on the cover of all of her magazines. Mm-hmm. It's just her, and so. I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, Ellen was campaigning on her show to be like the first person on an Oprah cover. So it was like, so she finally got on a cover with Oprah, which is, I mean, like Ellen's obviously friends with her and has a lot of money, but it was just really funny.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know. I like people like that, I don't know, just do good for others. I find it really impressive.
Hell yeah, man. So, I guess I have a more kind of technical question in terms of, there's a lot of people out there that want to carry cameras and, shoot photos or documentaries or what have you. Aside from, you said you carried a Canon 7D, what was your battery situation look like? And how'd you go about keeping your batteries charged for your camera, and how many batteries did you take, memory cards, stuff like that?
I carried 3 batteries. I honestly could have gotten away with only 2. Minus that there's that, like, I think it's 120 miles between Bishop and Mammoth. I definitely, that's the only time I used all 3 or had to like use the third one. Which I'm happy I did, because I obviously wouldn't have gotten photos from that last maybe like 30 miles or whatever it was. I carried 2 memory cards, but I had some at home that I like left with my parents because my mom sent me a bunch of resupplies. So I just like, here's these memory cards in case I need them. But I would, at the end of the night, what I would do on my camera is I would save the photos I knew I wanted to keep and then just delete all the extras, because sometimes one photo I take like 5 different poses or 5 different sets. And then so I'd look at it in the camera, and if I don't like it, I would just delete it.
You ever find yourself in a photo shoot where things got a little sketchy? Maybe the weather, or I don't know, wildlife showed up, or like anything scary ever happened during a photo shoot?
Not that I can think of. I mean, if the weather was bad, I'd probably just keep walking. I also didn't want to like bring out my camera when, like, I made, especially my friends I hiked with, I mean, I would give them a lot of shit. I'd be like, I don't care if you want to make 30 miles today. Shut the fuck up and like take this picture.
Priorities, man.
Yeah. But I know some of my friends probably would have told me to, get lost if we were in, goddamn rainstorm. And I was like, hey, hold on, take this picture real quick.
So what's the greatest length you've gone to for a shot?
I mean,
with or without people in the subject matter, I guess what I'm asking is, like, have you ever put yourself in an interesting predicament to get that shot?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I like to follow rules.
Okay.
And I also don't like putting myself in danger.
Okay. These are great answers.
Rule number 1, don't get dead.
Don't get dead.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Like, I just don't think there's like it would ever be worth it. You could just take so many photos on a through hike that it's like, why, like, I don't know, go down like a steep hill just to get a picture.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry, that's not that fun or interesting.
No, that's fine. No, it's an interesting to hear a different perspective on that, because one of my best friends is an outdoor wildlife photographer. In fact, Laughing Totem, he's in the chat room right now. And one of the things that Mark is famous for is, hiking up just these ridiculously high ridges or putting himself in precarious positions to get these. But he gets these amazing shots of, like, an animal doing something that, like, you only ever see on TV, or, But I guess if you're mostly photographing people, your subject matter kind of comes to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I mean, those kind of shots I'm going to leave to the pros. I'm not, like, the fact I was even just doing the PCT, that's the biggest length I've gone.
Sure, that's an excellent point.
Photos. That's good enough for me.
So let me ask you this: out of your body of work, do you have a favorite photo?
Ooh, oh man. That's so hard. I mean, I could probably go through and be like, this is my favorite photo from like that section.
Okay.
They're all just so different. And like, when I look at the photos of everyone, like, I just think I can remember exactly, like, what did we talk about that day? What was something funny that happened that day? How was I feeling mentally? So if I can say my favorite body of work on the trail, my favorite section of work. Can I say that?
Oh, absolutely.
My favorite section, like, if you look at, like, when I got home from the trail, I separated all my photos into the 5 sections of the PCT. My favorite body of work out of the 5 sections is Washington, because I was so sad at the time that it was ending, but I was also so happy and grateful and proud and just like enamored with the landscape, that I was just feeling all the feelings I'd felt in those 6 months were like condensed into that last month in Washington. And you could really, I feel like I mean, at least I can see it now, but I feel like if everyone looked at my work in sections, they would see like, wow, he was really, really feeling himself in Washington. It's kind of dark and moody, but also like vibrant and beautiful, and it's just such a reflection of how I was feeling, knowing that I was going to finish the trail. So yeah, Washington, my body of work from Washington is like by far my favorite.
So we've got a couple questions from the chat, and the first one comes from Bunny. She says, so you talk about how hikers smell like shit. Have you ever thought of doing a shoot where hikers are absolutely covered head to toe in dirt, like painting themselves in mud?
That would be really fun. I actually thought about that while I was doing the PCT, but we were also so dirty. It just like, I almost felt like that was too far for even me to ask, unless we were like maybe in town and we were close to a shower. I just feel really bad. I think the biggest lengths I like, or the only time I did something like that, is I have this photo of my friend Gumi, who I hiked with for a few hundred miles in NorCal. And we were in this like crazy burn section just near the Oregon border. And I had him hold this dead burnt log. And I took the log and scraped the ash on his chest, and he's holding it behind his back. And it's a pretty rad photo, but that's kind of the furthest I've gone when it comes to like covering them in dirt. Most people, but some people, you find people on trail that are literally just like covered in dirt. And I'm like, did you not see that water source like 2 miles back? Like, why don't you shower?
Did you ever have people like, just like, hey, oh my God, you're Twerk, I'm just going to get naked, shoot me?
I mean, basically, yeah. I mean, like people towards the end, like people would, recognize me and say, oh, like, what are you do? I'll totally let you take a photo of me. Like, I'll do whatever. But I didn't really get too many nudes on trail, but one of my favorites is, it's a girl, my friend Weezer, in front of Crater Lake, and she actually approached me, but it wasn't like, Twerk, take my photo. She actually wrote a piece for the book, which is beautiful. But she said, she's like, I feel really bad asking, but I really want you to photograph me naked. Like, I just feel so confident about myself out here. I just really want a photo of me like nude. And so we got this really fucking rad photo of her in front of Crater Lake, in front of this cool log. And it's so gorgeous. And she loved the photo. And like when I speak about people really feeling confident and loving photos of themselves, I think that is the biggest compliment. When you could photograph someone naked and have them be like, I love that photo of myself, that's the best feeling ever.
Wow. Yeah, I can only imagine.
Oh, yeah, man. All right, so to go to the chat again, we got a few more questions.
Okay.
One is from Gamara. She says,
Gamera.
You don't have... Gamera, sorry. You don't have many animals in your photos. Is it because they're difficult to work with?
Yeah, usually unpredictable. I think I have a dog, and yeah, there's a dog, and there's a photo from Kennedy Meadows of a dog, and it's growling, and that's an awesome photo. I love that picture. But yeah, pretty much, yeah, because animals are unpredictable. I would like to. That would be cool to have more animals in my photos as props, but you just never. It's going to happen.
All right, and I really like this question. It's coming from Jules. Have you ever done a hiker trash wedding?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of. Oh no! I don't think I've photographed a hiker trash wedding yet, but I have like 4 this summer.
Oh.
After this round of hiking, I've been booking a lot of hiker trash weddings.
Hiker trash weddings. Do you have any ideas for how to shoot those, or is that a trade secret you can't say yet?
I mean, I would photograph them like a normal wedding, but I mean, a lot of people that are hiring me because they saw my work from the PCT. So a lot of them sound like they're outdoors, and I'll get to be creative and kind of shoot them like I would shoot them as if they were on trail.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the kind of wedding photo I'd prefer. Something unusual.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's cool. It's
So,
cool to have people hire me because they want my creativity, not just because they take good pictures.
Yeah, that's such an important element.
oh yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Oh,
it
yeah, absolutely.
speaks volumes of your work as well. The fact that you're not just pointing and shooting a camera and people like what they see. It's the whole process behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's uh, what's really cool about the project is that I've just gotten so many messages from people that have thru hike, people that want to thru hike, people that have no desire but just like following hikers, and people always seem to find uh, something in my work that relates to them, or they like read the stories that go with the photos and find a commonality. And it's just amazing to me that people have even like taken the time to like stop and look. Honestly, like because sometimes I feel like as if I'm just pointing the camera and clicking a button, but I mean, there's a lot of years of practice um, and love that's gone into it. So it makes me really happy that people uh, actually care.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I've got kind of a more, I guess, a question kind of geared towards. So you've taken all of these beautiful photos, and then you were like, "I'm going to make a book about it."
Yeah.
How did you go about making the book?
I mean, you just kind of
I
like.
I don't know if that was too vague of a question, but I'm meaning like, in terms of like, did you find a publisher? Were you like, hey, this is my idea? Were you just
Did
like,
you have to go
okay,
through
I'm
an
just going to
agent
put
or
these
anything?
together and then type
By
in
time
Google like how to make a book?
by time I got to NorCal, I knew I was going to make a book. If I finished, if I hadn't had finished, I was like, I'm not making a book because I'll look like a poser. It was just that was for my own. Uh, yeah. But yeah, through NorCal, I was like, when I'm done, I'm making a book of all this work, like because it's the best thing I've ever done. But I had a couple of friends who had like gone through small publishers, so I started shopping around as I was on trail. I was reaching out to people and talking to people, and then it came down to self-publishing because when you get a publisher, they have a lot to say in the creativity or the design, and I wanted to do it all myself. So everything and I designed it to kind of look like a magazine. Like I did fake advertisements in the book where it like looks like an ad almost, like, but it will say like the town name. Can you take pictures on here?
Yeah.
Like here, I'll show you a screenshot like this. Okay. All right. Let me see. I think it worked.
There it is.
So like that. It's so it'll be like Trout Lake, but it looks like an advertisement.
Oh yeah! Wow, that's really good.
So
That reminds me of like some Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas kind of
yeah.
stuff.
Like here, I'll send you a few more. But yeah, so I wanted it to kind of mock a magazine because of the name of the project. So I did all these fake advertisements for the towns or like the places we went. So here's one for Sonora Pass, and then it's like the Sierra Collection, and there's just like fun little shit like that.
Oh wow! Yeah, that looks like it could be for for a pair, like buy our pants, or like that totally looks like a fashion ad.
Yeah, it really does.
It's the font. It's the font.
Yeah, and that's why this book took me so goddamn long though, because I'm not a designer. So I was designing and being like, oh, that looks good, and then the next morning waking up and being like, that actually looks like shit. Redo it. So now it's finally done.
I kind of think you are a designer, at least now.
Yeah, man, you definitely have an eye for it.
Gotten a lot of practice, that's for sure.
Based on my limited knowledge of the subject, you're an expert.
So you put this book together and then you decided to self-publish it. Like, how did you go about self-publishing it?
I shopped around at a couple different companies. What I did is I just sent in like 20 pages and said, okay, and then now ship me your book. And so originally I was only selling the book for like $60. And then I hated the print quality. The ink wasn't like, my colors weren't matching up. And obviously most of my photos are color and very vibrant. And that was really important to me that they look that way on paper. So I had to go through like 3 different companies, and I finally found one just shopping around called Book Baby. And I went through them, and I got the book 2 weeks ago, and it's beautiful. Like, the colors are amazing. The pages are awesome. And it's a hardcover book, and they did such a great job. It's going to be a knockout. I'm pretty excited to ship them out.
It's a pretty good sized book too, right? It's like coffee table book.
Yeah, it's a 8.5 by 11, so the size of a magazine, but it's a hardcover book.
Nice.
And it's almost 300 pages.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I feel bad because everyone's like, "Why the fuck is your book $115?" I'm like, "Well, because I'm going with the highest quality possible, and it's almost 300 pages." So
that kind of brings up an issue. Is so how did you go about the distribution on this? Are you ordering, like 100 copies and then mailing them out, or are you just taking pre-orders and then using that money to purchase them, or how do you go about doing that?
That's what I initially did. I've just been taking pre-orders. I'm also using some of my own money to just order like 200 extra, so I have them. But I've sold quite a few books, but I'm actually, in the end, I'm not really making that much money off of it because I'm shipping them out myself as well. And I want the packaging to be really pretty. But at the end of the day, I was like, as long as I can, fucking afford to like ship them out and make them look pretty, that's all I care about. I'm just excited that people actually want this book and want my work. And that I'm, finally people are like paying attention to what I'm doing.
Excited, but not surprised.
Just looking at the shots, or the screenshots or whatever that you posted in chat, like, holy shit, man.
Yeah. Oh, here, I'll show you a screenshot of one of the like one of the stories that for the stories written, I made it kind of look as if it was from a magazine, just so you guys kind of feel. Let me find my favorite one. Okay. So the one I'm about to show you was written by a married couple I hiked with for probably like 700 miles. Ritz and Snockett. They're from Atlanta, and they're like the most beautiful, wonderful humans I've ever met. We'd make fun of them for how perfect they were, because also because they're also the fucking nicest people ever. Me and my friends would joke, we're like, we don't deserve them. Why do they hike with such assholes? But so Snockett, the girl, Nicole, she wrote this about hiking as a couple, and kind of how the PCT was always Tyler's dream. And she started, or originally she said, I don't want to hike. I'll never be interested in through hiking. But then as she started to research, she became obsessed. And then how through the Sierras, it was really hard for her, and Tyler was having the time of his life, and she was just trying to keep up. And then how he still, tended to her to make sure her hike went the way that she wanted as well. And so it's really beautiful. And they're just like, oh God. Can you still hear me?
You cut out we lost about the last 10 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my mom called me for a second. I denied it.
Sorry, Mom.
We're leaving that in.
Yeah, wow, man. Your formatting just looks amazing on that. I definitely need to pick up a copy of that.
Thank you. Yeah, the stories in it are just amazing. I'm just excited. I'm mostly excited for people to read all the stories written for it.
Yeah, so I was going to... Okay, so... I already said this, and I'm just repeating myself, but you mentioned earlier, you said you're not a designer, and I have to disagree. Just looking at the layout of that story page, I would, if you told me that you handed this off to like a professional designer house and that they, had somebody who's a professional graphic designer lay that out, I would totally believe it, because you nailed it.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
So,
I mean, these designs took me so long when really, I mean, they're really simple. Like now when I look at this, I'm like, I could design that in 15 minutes, but it was a lot of trial and error and going back and forth being like, that looks weird. These colors need to match. But I'm really happy I took the time to do it myself because, I learned a lot and now I could just know I could do it for the next book.
So, on a more hiker note, how much was your total pack weight, do you think?
Probably like 23 pounds or something.
Oh, I thought you were about to say way more than that. Oh, you
Okay,
put
that's
me to
not bad.
shame, bro.
I honestly, I didn't weigh my pack this year before I left. I just went because I don't know. I'm not. It definitely wasn't as heavy as the first time around I went. Like my first round, I carried an Osprey, which is like 3.5 pounds in itself. And then I think I carried like extra clothes and I feel like I just had a bunch of extra shit I didn't actually use. This time I was like, okay, I'm bringing this heavy ass camera. You don't need that much stuff. I'm also like not a very big eater. So I just carried what I absolutely needed. And then I think I ran out of food one time. Like I got into town and ate my last Cliff Bar and I was completely fine. I didn't even like never went hungry. But I was just like, I don't need to carry all this food. I know what I'm gonna eat.
So, what kind of gear were you using? What was your shelter setup in your
I carried
bag or?
Hyperlight. Yeah, I carried the Hyperlight Southwest 2400, which shout out to Hyperlight. I fucking love Hyperlight. I think they're an incredible company. That I carried a prototype tent that they gave me midway through my hike. Absolutely amazing. I think it might be on the market now. I'm not sure, but it was a one man and it's super light, but it's that Cuban fiber. And I mean, 4 days before we finished, we were in this blizzard in Washington, which I thought I was going to die maybe a little bit, or actually, no, I just wanted to die because it was so fucking cold. But that tent held up and I was dry. I like as dry as I could be the next morning.
What kind of a sleeping bag or quilt did you use?
I used a Nemo sleeping bag, and that thing is warm as hell. I mean, I could probably take that thing on another through hike. It's in like great condition, minus how bad it smells.
Did you use an inflatable pad or like a foam thermarest pad?
I use a foam thermarest.
And how about, were you stoveless or did you actually carry a stove?
Nope, baby likes his jet boil. I like I like my hot food at the end of the night.
Oh, yeah.
I'm no fool.
So we have
Awesome.
another question coming in from the chat, and this one is from Captain Clambeard. And Captain Clambeard asks, is there a new discipline or technique you acquired while shooting on the trail that you now use afterwards?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Oh, I don't know. That one's kind of catching me off guard. I mean, if you can call it a technique, I think photographing hikers has made me more kind of, I guess, aware. And I think I honestly, yeah. So if the technique to answer the question, sorry, photographing hikers because of what we're doing, made me pay attention more to people. And like, yeah, I've always been good at posing people. I've always been good at like, maneuvering them in a way that they're going to like look good in a photograph. But I think, being on the trail and, photographing hikers day after day and so many different people really gave me that, really genuine insight of how to photograph people well and how to make them feel good, because we're all so dirty. But it's amazing that I was able to photograph people and make them be like, wow, I really like that photo of myself, even though I haven't showered in like 8 days and I'm like covered in dirt. Does that answer the question kind of?
I think so.
Yeah, I thought that was solid. Do you shoot anything other than portrait shots, or
No, I find it boring.
All right.
so no landscapes or flowers or anything? Yeah?
I only do that if people are in the photo. If I see a pretty flower, I'm like, I gotta wait for a hiker to pose next to it. I don't know. I just don't. I like looking at landscape photography, but it doesn't really do anything for me. Like, I don't think it's. I mean, there's some incredible landscape photographers out there, obviously, but like, I just think photographs are so much more interesting when a person is in them, because in 20 years, when you go back to the same spot, it's probably going to look the same, minus whatever the weather is that day. Whereas in 20 years, a person you photograph is going to look completely different.
That is so true.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So that's why I love portraiture. I have boxes and boxes and boxes of printed photos since I was a kid of just like me dicking around with friends, but also like portraits I like, really like very like intimate portraits I took of my friends as a kid. You know, like, well, like I wrote about this in my book. Like, when all the other kids were going out to football games and going and being social and going to dances, I was like outside taking photos with my friends and just walking around my parents' neighborhood, or just like at the park and taking portraits of my friends. And that's was kind of my escape from being like this really like awkward, kind of like scared, like adolescent boy.
That makes sense.
And look at you now, man. Look
totally
at you
makes
now.
Yeah, suck it, bitches.
Oh man. So, have you thought about, teaming up with any other photographers on a project?
Are
you keeping this all in the fam?
I'm just trying to think. You guys know who Heaps is, obviously, right?
I do not.
Huh?
I do not.
Her Instagram is Wilderbound. She's hiked the PC twice. She's from New Zealand.
Okay.
Yes, I am aware of who she is. She's
fucking hilarious. We finally got to meet after like 2 years of following each other online. We finally got to hike together for 3 days in Bishop, or out of Bishop. She is hilarious. But I actually just FaceTimed with her a couple days ago. We're not really teaming up, but I told her, because she has incredible writing as well as great photographs. And I told her, I was like, you need to put together a book, because what's so cool about her stuff, it's so organized. And she writes, she'll post a photo and it'll be like, she did this both years. It'll be like day one, and she'll write this big, beautiful piece about the day on trail, and then she'll post a photo with it. And I told her, it's like, dude, you would sell so many copies of this because your writing's so beautiful and you have this really great, genuine portraiture. So she's incredible. If you have a chance, if you've never seen her stuff, go read her PCT post and look at her pictures. But I told her I would help her, design or do whatever if she wanted for her book, because she has some really incredible stuff.
Cool. And that's Heaps, just like, giant piles of stuff, HEAPS. And her Instagram is Wilderbound, WILDERBOUND. We put a link to that in the chat.
Yeah. Oh my God. Her Instagram stories are hilarious too. She's funnier than shit.
Well, let's see if she wants to be on the show, shall we?
Oh, you should absolutely have her. She would be a knockout.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to her and try to make that happen.
Yeah, she'd be fantastic.
So I have one last question. And this is a question that I like to ask all of our guests. And it is this. What do you wish you had known before you started all this?
Like before my first hike ever?
Yeah, we'll call it. What do you wish you had known before you had started the Hiker Vogue project?
Oh, it would have been nice if I just knew I was going to do that, so I could have started it right at Campo.
Okay.
But it gives me the opportunity to go back, obviously, this next week. But yeah,
that might be my favorite answer to that question so far. What do you wish you had known before you started this? That I was going to do it.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, no, that's I mean, that's kind of a hard question.
Everyone always has a tough time with that one. I might stop asking it.
No. I think it's a good question. It just catches you off guard. I I guess in just the sense of hiking, I just wish I would have known how much the trail was going to make me not give a shit about little things, and I wish I would have practiced that more on my through hike. Especially the days when people are passing me, the people I want, like I meet, I'm hanging out with people that hike faster than me, and I can't keep up. I wish I would have let that shit go more because in the end, I made it, and it didn't matter. So I think that's probably the one thing I wish I would have maybe practiced more and had known.
Nice.
I've got a kind of, I guess, a more serious question. So being gay on trail, did you notice people treating you differently? Like, how was that received? Were people, could you tell that they were acting differently, or did
Absolutely
you feel
not.
welcome?
Absolutely. I mean, so I, not to plug another podcast,
No, that's fine.
but Zach
Plug
Davis,
away.
Zach Davis that does Backpacker Radio.
Yeah, we're on the same network together.
Cool. Yeah. So Zach, does Backpacker Radio.
Mm-hmm.
They recently had a guy. His trail name was Gummy Bear. Another gay hiker. He was on the trail, kind of talking about being gay on trail and how that he's maybe 23 or 24. I wrote Zach a message saying, "Hey, thank you for having this kind of representation in your podcast. I think it's so important. He was a great interview. You asked the right questions, but you made it fun. And I praised Zach. I had to praise him for that episode. It was really wonderful. What I said in the message was, I think I also have this kind of, trying to think of the right word. I kind of had a favor over my hike being well known. So, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
Not to sound
little
like a pompous,
trail celeb status.
Not to sound like a pompous dick, but I know people know me because people would stop me all the time and say, "Are you Twerk?" So it's like,
you have thousands of followers.
I had this favor over my hike. So, if people, maybe people would be mean to me if they want, but I really just don't think the trail community is like that. I don't think someone who's going to act like that towards someone would really, you could still hike to Mexico, or to Canada, but you're not going to make any friends really. And I mean, I really do think we have a very accepting community. So I feel like maybe even if I wasn't known on trail, people would have not given two shits. But it's also, I think, a reflection of the person I am, because I treat people the way I want to be treated, with respect, and I'm kind, and I joke with the people I know I can joke with, and I'm sensitive to those who are sensitive, and I think I get back what I put out into the world. So I think that's maybe what that is, and maybe also a bit of a testament to who are our community and how we value each other.
Beautifully said, my friend.
Oh,
yeah. The reason that I asked that question is for anybody listening that's maybe having concerns about color or sexuality or whatever. I think the trail community is a very welcoming community, and I think that should be known. But like you said, if you're a douchebag, people are going to treat you like you're a douchebag.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think about the only thing in the hiking community that even comes close to being discriminatory is, oh, that guy's going Sobo. Pfft, he's a weirdo. That's about it.
I met some nice Sobos. I was more just jealous of them because they had a longer time on trail than me at that point.
That's true.
I was like, damn, I should have gone Sobo because I'd be hiking longer.
Well, no, not so much a question from the chat, but Jules in the chat, especially, and a bunch of other people have said things similar. Incredible story, beautiful work, and inspiring human. Thank you for sharing tonight. And that's not.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
Not just coming from the chat room, but coming from us as well. It's just been a delight speaking with you.
Yeah,
You're
man,
so cool.
Your stories are great, and you, hands down, as far as I'm concerned, have the best poop story so far.
Oh yeah.
So kudos to you for that one.
Because I shit the bed.
Because you got back in that bed.
The towel.
My Tinder profile is no, I'm just kidding.
I mean, there's a whole new expression added to the language from that story. You know, people say, "Oh, you're gonna get back up on that horse." You get right back in that poopy bed.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not a quitter.
Truly inspirational. So,
that's great.
I want to invite you back. You're still here. You haven't even left yet, and I already want you to come back. So, you know, we do this every Wednesday, and we like to have a featured guest when we can, but we also like for, you know, people who have been on the show to just come back whenever. You know,
okay.
Our Discord server runs 24/7. People are always in here chatting and talking trail. You know, so if you just want to pop in and chat with other hikers, we're here. And
yeah, I'd love that.
Love to hear you. You know, help us out with a future interview. Chime in and ask questions next time.
I would love that. That'd be really fun. Yeah, maybe I'll sit in on a Heaps interview. That'd be awesome.
I guess I'm just saying you're a cool guy. I want to hang out with you more.
Yeah, I'm down. When you get Heaps on, I'd love to come interview her with you guys.
Okay.
You can get her to say some funny shit.
Yeah, let's do that.
I will definitely let you know when we make that happen.
Sweet. I'm gonna go get dinner with my mama now.
Cool, man.
Cool.
Hey, once again, brother, thanks for joining us, man. And I'm definitely gonna reach out to Heaps and, you know, try to get her on. And yeah, it'd be hilarious to have you come back and, you know, shoot questions at her because I'm sure you know more about her than we would.
Yeah, we shoot the shit, and you could get her to say some funny stuff. She'd be a great guest.
Hell yeah, man. That sounds rad.
All right.
Yeah, well, once again, man, thanks for kicking it with us. And it was super fucking cool talking to you, man. And it was really, you know, inspiring hearing what you did and how you went about doing it. I mean, for anybody that's even remotely interested, I think, in photography, and, you know, whether it be trail photography or just in general, I mean, I think you really nailed down some very good inspirational info, not just, you know, techniques, but
life
in general. Yeah, man. Just like beautifully done.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Cool.
All right. But we will let you go catch some dinner with the Ma Dukes.
Awesome. Cool.
I'm about
to talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, man. Take it easy, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, everybody.
Stories from the Trail is a production of thetrek.co. Zach Davis, editor-in-chief. Each episode is recorded in front of a live internet audience. You can be part of that internet audience if you care to join us on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. There's a link in the show notes that tells you everything you need. Our music is by Lee Rosevere. Your hosts are Green Giant, Voldemort, and Reptar. You can find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. Just look for Stories from the Trail. It's probably us. The show is recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Gary Sizer, in Blanket Fort Studios, which is just me in my basement with a blanket over my head. Thanks for listening.
Hey, oh my God, you're Twerk. I'm just going to get naked. Shoot me.